Hey, I'm Jamie East, and today's episode of The Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. If you're running a business, any kind of business, you're probably spending some time thinking about AI, what to do, how much to use it, and how to even get started. The answer could be in your pocket. The new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, powered by Vodafone Business's reliable, award-winning network, will help you unleash your productivity through brilliant built-in Galaxy AI. For example, Note Assist will automatically correct, fix the spelling, formatting and organise your meeting notes so you can stay tuned into the session without any worry. Turns out AI may be useful for more than just written work. Swiss scientists have developed an AI-powered robot that can play badminton with you. And the good news is that while the tech took 5 years to develop, the robot's still easily beatable. Getting back to the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network.
It's Saturday, the 28th of June. I'm Ciara Evans, and this was a week that saw a 12-day war end in a ceasefire. Things get weird at the NATO Summit, a Labour rebellion over welfare, and the Edge finally pick up his Irish passport.
Grab a cup of something hot, put up your feet, and get up to speed on the 7 biggest stories of the week. This is the Standout 7 from the Smart 7.
It's news,
But not the news.
Last Sunday morning saw the US military launch 3 strikes at Iran's underground nuclear facilities, and US President Donald Trump addressed the nation.
The strikes were a spectacular military success. Iran's key nuclear enrichment facilities have been completely and totally obliterated. Iran, the bully of the Middle East, must now make peace. If they do not, future attacks will be far greater and a lot easier.
Iran's President Masoud Pezeshkian said the US must receive a response for their aggression, while Iran's Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi warned that there would be no diplomacy until Iran had retaliated for the attack as he flew to Russia to meet with President Putin. US Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth called the strikes an overwhelming success, while US Vice President J.D. Vance was attempting to avoid any further escalation.
We're not at war with Iran, we're at war with Iran's nuclear program, and it's really an incredible operation, a testament to the power of American military. And I think what shows what can happen when you have that great American military in the hands of capable presidential leadership.
The International Atomic Energy Agency confirmed that 3 sites at Fordow, Natanz and Isfahan were hit, and that there appeared to be damage to all 3, but were unable to determine how extensive. Iranian authorities said there has been no increase in offsite radiation levels following the attacks. The UK, France and Germany called on Iran not to take any retaliatory action that could further destabilise the Middle East, although Iran has proposed closing the Strait of Hormuz. That could have a significant impact on oil prices and shipping across the world, and UK PM Starmer was calling for calm.
It is important that we now de-escalate the situation, stabilise the region and get the parties back around the table to negotiate.
Although the UK had no involvement in the attacks, Business Secretary Jonathan Reynolds says the UK's security forces are on high alert for potential Iranian attacks at home.
There is not a week goes by without some sort of Iranian cyber attack on a key part of UK critical national infrastructure. This is, at the here and now, a level of activity from Iran in relation to this country which is wholly unacceptable.
Monday saw Iran launch missiles at a US military base in Qatar at what was intended as a show of force in retaliation for the US attack on Iran's nuclear facilities on Sunday morning. 13 of the 14 missiles fired were intercepted, and Donald Trump tweeted that he hoped Iran had got it out of their system and that a peace process can now begin. He announced that a ceasefire will begin between the 2 sides, which will see an end to what he called the 12-day war, although Iran fired multiple missile barrages at Israel early on Tuesday. Vice President J.D. Vance was on Fox News, and he says the US attacks have paid off.
I think the Iranians are at a place where they don't want to keep on fighting, and tomorrow really is a new day. The end of the 12-day war, the end of the Iranian nuclear program, and I really do believe the beginning of something very big for peace in the Middle East.
Meanwhile, Iran's foreign minister was in Moscow on Monday meeting with Russian President Putin. Not surprisingly, Putin took Iran's side and offered his favourite drone-making ally an opportunity to work more closely together.
Unprovoked aggression against Iran has no justification. I'm glad you are in Moscow. This gives us an opportunity to think together about how we might find a way out of the current situation.
Donald Trump didn't have a great day on Tuesday, as it turned out he had declared that the 12-day war had come to an end somewhat prematurely. Trump had outlined a timetable which was intended to see Iran and then Israel cease their attacks on each other, but both sides appeared to breach the ceasefire almost immediately. That didn't go down well with an angry American president who made his feelings very clear.
We basically have two countries that have been fighting so long and so hard that they don't know what the doing. Do you understand that?
It's highly unusual for a US president to drop an F-bomb as opposed to any other type of bomb, but Trump may also have been annoyed by intelligent assessments that the bunker buster bombs may not have destroyed the Iranian nuclear facilities. The shaky ceasefire has held since then, and Israel's President Isaac Herzog was happy that the short but brutal campaign had been effective.
And what we have done successfully in this operation is to remove the Iranian nuclear threat looming above Israel, the region, and the free world. In this respect, I commend.
With the ceasefire still holding, Iran's supreme leader Ayatollah Khamenei made his first appearance in almost a week. He said Iran's strike on the US base in Qatar was intended as a slap in the face and warned that there will be further retaliation if America gets involved again.
The American regime entered the war directly because it felt that, if it didn't, the Zionist regime would be completely annihilated. It entered the war to save Israel, but gained nothing from it.
Even as the world has been focused on the conflict in the Middle East, Russia has continued its attacks on Ukraine, with at least 10 people killed in an attack on a residential area of Kyiv on Monday. The attacks on civilian targets have risen dramatically since Ukraine's sequence of Secret Service attacks on Russian military targets. Ukrainian President Zelensky was in the UK on Monday on his way to this week's NATO Summit at The Hague, and he had a private meeting with King Charles before heading to Downing Street to meet PM Keir Starmer. The two discussed a new plan to jointly develop long-distance drones, which Zelensky says will deepen defence cooperation between the UK and Ukraine and help to stop Russia's terror. The duo also met with Ukrainian soldiers training in the UK as part of Operation Interflex.
Thank you, dear Prime Minister, dear Keir. Thank you for the invitation. And we are very thankful to people of the United Kingdom for such big support of Ukraine from the very beginning of this war.
Tuesday saw the 32 leaders of the NATO alliance gathered in The Hague. Donald Trump arrived on Air Force One, which was a shortened programme, in part so that he didn't get bored and leave early as he did with the G7. NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte has been very focused on keeping Donald in a positive frame of mind towards the alliance, sending him a congratulatory message in advance. And he's also managed to line up all of the nations for a commitment to spend 5% on defence. Ukrainian President Zelensky is attending a dinner but will not be at any of the sessions, and Rutte was keen to keep the focus on Russia's aggression.
I think there is general agreement around the table. We are not doing it because of the audience of one. We are doing it because we have the Russian threat, and we can only fight that threat if we spend enough.
The NATO summit certainly had some dramatic moments. Trump met with Ukrainian President Zelensky, who had worn a suit, and the meeting seemed to have gone well, with Trump promising more Patriot missiles for Ukraine's cities. Trump also raged about fake news over revelations that the US bunker buster bombs may not have obliterated Iran's nuclear facilities, although the Defence Department has launched a leak investigation which suggests that the news may not be entirely fake. There was a strange moment too when Trump and NATO Secretary General Mark Rutte were asked about the prospects for the Iranian and Israeli ceasefire.
They're not going to be fighting each other. They've had it. They've had a big fight, like two kids in a schoolyard. You know, they fight like hell. You can't stop them. Let them fight for about 2-3 minutes. Then it's easier to stop them.
And then Daddy has to sometimes use strong language.
You have to use strong language. Every once in a while you have to use a certain word.
One assumes Rutte meant Daddy in the Don Jr. and Eric Trump sense, and not in the Pedro Pascal iconic sense, but probably best not to ask. The NATO Secretary General was staying on track when it came to the defence spending plans.
For me, there is absolute clarity that the United States is totally committed to NATO. Yes, there is also an expectation that the Canadians and the Europeans will speed up their spending, making sure that we not only are able to defend ourselves against the Russians and others, but also to equalise.
As part of the UK's commitment to up defence spending, Defence Secretary John Healey has had the chequebook out already. The RAF are getting 12 brand new F-35A jets, which are capable of being equipped with nuclear weapons and will seriously upgrade the UK's nuclear strike capability. It's part of the Strategic Defence Review, which will also see construction on new nuclear submarines and will allow the UK to join NATO's airborne nuclear threat. The Defence Secretary says having long-range strike capability is critical in a world which has become increasingly dangerous.
We're acting, and we're doing that to strengthen the NATO collective deterrence, and we're doing it to strengthen the British industrial base.
The Home Secretary Yvette Cooper announced on Monday that she's planning to proscribe Palestinian action under terror laws. Her decision follows the protest group's break into RAF base Breeze Norton in Oxfordshire, where they painted 2 planes red in protest at the ongoing war in Gaza. The move, if passed by Parliament, would see Palestinian action treated as a terrorist organisation and make membership of the group illegal. Foreign Secretary David Lammy says the group has gone too far.
Palestinian action have engaged in serious sabotaged and criminal acts. What happened at RAF Breise Norton is a disgrace, and you can obviously do everything we can to bring about a ceasefire, but also be a friend of Israel.
Palestinian Action described the government action as unhinged, and Palestine Action member Saeed Farouqi says it's an overreaction to being embarrassed by the security breach.
I think it's completely irrational, without precedent. I mean, it's a knee-jerk reaction from the government. Palestine Action was able to humiliate them and show serious flaws in the defences of the RAF base itself.
This week has also seen Prime Minister Keir Starmer in hot water with his own party over the proposed welfare cuts, which are due to come before Parliament for a vote next week. There's a growing chorus of backbench Labour MPs who are vocal in opposing the proposed cut, which they say would push people into poverty. Starmer says that it's an important piece of work which is necessary to fix the welfare system, and that he's not inclined to back down.
We're pressing on because we need to bring about this reform. We were elected into government to change that which is broken. Our welfare system is broken. The progressive thing to do is to fix it so it works for working people.
With over 120 Labour MPs reported to be ready to rebel, Tory leader Kemi Badenoch saw the opportunity to wade in, offering to support the PM if he would add additional cuts. Dame Meg Hillier is the chair of the Treasury Select Committee, and she's tabled an amendment which could stop the bill.
I hope it doesn't come to that, because I hope the government will listen to this groundswell of opinion. And this is, of course, backbenchers who signed this. This doesn't include disquiet elsewhere in the party. And I don't disagree that the system needs reform, but we also see the reality of people who've been out of work for a very long time, and those people will take a long time and a lot of support to get into work.
Prime Minister Keir Starmer was in the Netherlands on Wednesday for the NATO Summit, but the UK press covering the gathering weren't letting him off the hook over next week's welfare bill vote. Starmer wasn't backing down though.
Is it tough going? Are there plenty of people and noises off? Yes, of course. There always are, there always have been, there always will be. But the important thing is to focus on the change that we want to bring about.
Because the PM was at The Hague, Deputy PM Angela Rayner was facing off against another temporary Tory leader, this time Shadow Chancellor Mel Stride, and he also had the welfare bill on his mind.
Isn't she just a little embarrassed to be defending policies she doesn't even agree with?
Mr. Speaker, I'm embarrassed every week that somebody comes here from their opposition who doesn't apologise for the mess they left this country in.
Thursday evening appears to have seen peace break out between the government and its own Labour backbenchers. A rebellion had been brewing over the proposed welfare bill, but Chancellor Rachel Reeves was taking a much softer tone on Thursday as the leadership worked the phones to defuse the issue.
Of course we've got to get this right. Of course we've got to take people with us on this journey. And over the next few days we'll continue listening ahead of the vote on Tuesday.
It appears that changes to both the PIP and the health element of universal credit may be paused. Potential Rebel MP Toby Perkins says that while it's important to keep the budget on track, this bill was the wrong approach.
Many of the reforms actually are sensible, but I think this one is wrong. Probably there's pressure to reduce the bill, I'm sure there is, and this is a way that can be done. But I think, we need them to go back to the drawing board.
The NHS has announced that weight loss drug Mounjaro can now be prescribed at GP surgeries, but it's also warning that the initial rollout will be severely limited. Mounjaro is one of the family of weight loss drugs known as semaglutides, which were originally developed to help tackle type 2 diabetes, but have proven to be effective across a range of conditions. The government scheme aimed at tackling obesity will be rolled out to approximately 250,000 people over the next 3 years, and criteria for qualifying will include a range of serious conditions and a BMI of over 40. Professor Camilla Hawthorne, chair of the Royal College of General Practitioners, says the rollout may take some time.
At the moment, we're asking people not to approach their GPs directly because, we are so overwhelmed at the minute just with everyday general practice work. There will be local guidelines for GPs to follow, but I don't think we've actually received them as yet.
This week also saw the Medical and Healthcare Regulatory Agency launch an investigation into a potentially serious side effect of the new weight loss drugs. They've had a number of reports of people who've been receiving the drugs having issues with their pancreas, while 10 people on the medication have died, although it's not clear whether other factors were also involved. Pancreatitis is listed as a potential side effect for the jabs, and it's possible that as more and more people are prescribed the medication, the number of people having the issue has risen. The MHRA is asking anyone who has been hospitalised with severe pancreatitis to make contact, as Chief Safety Officer Dr. Alison Cave explained.
This particular action was reported in clinical trials, so we knew about it. We're seeing an increase in the numbers because of the increase in the exposure, and we're monitoring this very carefully. But I think it's very important to understand, while serious, these reports still remain low in the context of the overall usage.
Still to come on the Standout 7, in association with Metro, the Edge picks up his Irish passport, and Sir Rod Stewart is ready to rock.
Right after this. Hey, it's Jamie East here, and today's episode of the Smart 7 is sponsored by Vodafone Business in partnership with Samsung. When you're running your own business, pretty much anywhere can be your office. The spare room, the back garden, or, even the local cafe. And with the power of Vodafone Business's reliable award-winning network, combined with the new Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, there's no limit to what you can do pretty much anywhere. For example, if you're working and caffeinating at the same time, the Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra will allow you to seamlessly complete actions across a whole range of apps to find relevant information and send it where it needs to go. It can even summarise YouTube videos for you and save it to Samsung text notes. That's the power of AI in your pocket. Turns out AI may be useful for more than just written work. Swiss scientists have developed an AI-powered robot that can play badminton with you. The good news is that while the tech took 5 years to develop, the robot's still easily beatable. And getting back to Samsung Galaxy S25 Ultra, to take advantage of all the features and change the way you do business, you'll need a Samsung account and a network connection. And if you're using the seamless action across apps, it's compatible with selected languages only. You'll also need a Google account login, and the availability of search functions may vary by country, language and device. To find out more, search Vodafone Business Samsung, and for network verification, go to vodafone.co.uk/network.
Welcome back.
We've got a while to go before the November 4th election, but there's already huge excitement about the battle to be Mayor of New York. Current incumbent Eric Adams has had a pretty disastrous term, marked by scandal and indicted on charges of bribery and fraud back in 2024. Donald Trump's Justice Department dropped the charges, and Adams is set to run for re-election as an independent, but he won't be facing equally scandal-stained former Governor Andrew Cuomo. Instead, there's a new Democratic challenger, Zohran Mamdani, a self-described socialist and a Muslim, and described by some as sexy, which does not sound like a typical politician. He's also pro-Palestinian, just 33 years of age. Oh, and he's not afraid of a little straight talking.
We have won because New Yorkers have stood up for a city they can afford. A city where they can do more than just struggle. And it's where the mayor will use their power to reject Donald Trump's fascism.
U2 are probably the world's most famous Irish band, but of course, only two of the foursome are actually Irish. Well, that was until Monday, when David Evans, more popularly known as The Edge, finally officially became an Irish citizen. U2's guitarist was actually born in Essex and his family are Welsh, but he's lived in Ireland since he was 1 year of age. He's now 63 and was delighted to officially be sworn in at an Irish citizen ceremony in Killarney.
I'm a little tardy on the paperwork, but the time is right.
and I couldn't be more proud of my country for all that it represents and all it's doing. It's showing real leadership right now in the world, and it couldn't have come at a better moment for me.
The Glastonbury Festival is officially underway, with crowds heading to Worthy Farm to bask in what could be scorching summer weather. The headliners this year are Neil Young, the 1975, and Olivia Rodrigo, which is a pretty eclectic combination, but that's part of the magic of Glastonbury. Also playing are Doechii, Charlie XCX, The Prodigy, and in the legend slot on Sunday, it's the one and only Rod Stewart. There were rumours that Nile Rodgers will support Rod, but the Scottish legend isn't too happy about the slot he's been given.
I just wish they wouldn't call it the tea time slot. It sounds like pipe and slipper, doesn't it? There's a lot of great artists who have gone by the way because of drugs. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on. And we're still lucky, we're still here. And why shouldn't we do what we love as long as people want to see us?
You've been listening to The Smart 7. We'll be back tomorrow at 7 a.m. Hit that follow button and have a great day. Give us 7 minutes and we'll give you the world.
Ever wonder what your lashes are destined for? The cards have spoken. Maybelline New York Mascara does it all. Whether you crave fully fan lashes with Lash Sensational, big, bold volume from the Colossal, a dramatic lift with Falsies Lash Lift, or natural-looking volume from Great Lash, your perfect lash future awaits. Manifest your best mascara today. Shop Maybelline New York and discover your lash destiny. Shop now at Walmart.